In the 1960s, the most powerful spy agency on Earth had a bold new plan to defeat the Soviet Union. Step 1. Take a normal house cat. Step 2. Surgically install a microphone, a radio transmitter, and an antenna inside the cat. Step 3. Hope. This is the true story of a $20 million cyborg cat, and it is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds. Okay, let's rewind. Because to understand how anyone thought this was a good idea, you first have to understand how badly America was losing. It's the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in the world's tensest staring contest. No shooting, just spying. Whoever hears the other side's secrets first wins. And in this contest, America had just been massively embarrassed. Here's what happened. Back in 1945, a group of Soviet schoolchildren walked up to the American ambassador in Moscow and handed him a beautiful, hand-carved wooden seal of the United States. A gift, a gesture of friendship. Adorable. The ambassador loved it. He hung it on his office wall, right above his desk, for 7 years. There was a tiny problem. The seal was bugged. Hidden inside was a listening device built by a Soviet inventor named Leon Theremin. And this thing was genius. It had no batteries, no wires, no power source at all. It just sat there, silent and invisible, until the Soviets aimed a radio beam at it from a building across the street, and it woke up and broadcast every private conversation in the room. It was so advanced that nobody found it for 7 years. And the Americans only discovered it by accident. So picture yourself as the CIA. The Soviets just bugged your ambassador using a haunted piece of wall decor, and you didn't notice until 1952. You are humiliated. You need a win. You need a way to listen that absolutely nobody would ever suspect. And that desperation is where the cat comes in. Here was the CIA's problem. How do you get a microphone close to Soviet officials without anyone noticing? You can't send a human spy. Too obvious. You can't hide a bug in a room. They sweep for those. And clearly the Soviets were better at hiding bugs than you were. So somebody, in some meeting, had an idea so bold, so creative, so completely unhinged that they actually did it. What if the microphone had legs? What if the spy was a cat? Think about it. Cats are everywhere. Nobody suspects a cat. A cat can stroll right up to 2 men on a park bench, sit down, and eavesdrop on national secrets while pretending to be deeply fascinated by its own foot. On paper, genius. In reality, oh, we'll get there. The project got a name, Acoustic Kitty, and the CIA's science division got to work turning a living animal into a walking listening device. Stay with me because every word of this next part is real. Surgeons implanted a tiny microphone inside the cat's ear canal. They placed a small radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and they ran a thin wire antenna all the way down the cat's body, woven into its fur so nobody would see it. The cat was now, technically, a battery-powered government surveillance robot that also purred. They spent about $20 million on this. For comparison, that is roughly the price of a private jet. Spent on a cat that did not apply for the job. And at first, it kind of worked. The equipment functioned. The cat survived the surgery. The team celebrated. Victory felt close. And then, things got worse. Because it turns out there is one thing engineers cannot fix with a soldering iron: the cat's personality. The CIA had built the perfect spy. They just forgot to check whether the spy wanted the job. As far as the cat was concerned, it was not a secret agent. It was a cat. And cats do not take orders. Cats do not attend briefings. Cats have never, in the entire history of the universe, followed a single plan. They'd point the cat at a target and say, "Go listen to those people." And the cat would say, "No thank you," and wander off to stare at a wall. But there was one problem bigger than all the others: hunger. Whenever the cat got hungry, it simply clocked out. It stopped being a spy and went looking for food. Millions of dollars of classified technology defeated by lunch. So the CIA sat down, thought long and hard about this challenge, and came up with a solution. And I need you to brace yourself because this is also real. More surgery. They performed a second operation on the cat, specifically to reduce its appetite. Let that sink in. Somewhere in a secret government facility, a team of America's brightest scientists surgically modified a cat so it would stop thinking about food and start thinking about espionage. This seemed smart for about 12 seconds. Because you cannot cut hunger out of a cat. You can barely put anything into a cat. But they tried, for years. Training it, wiring it, testing it, retesting it, building the world's most expensive and least cooperative employee. And finally, the day came. The cat was ready, trained, wired, surgically uninterested in snacks. It was time for the first real mission. The target? 2 men sitting in a park near the Soviet compound in Washington, D.C. Simple job. Walk over, sit nearby, record the conversation. That's it. So they drove the world's most expensive cat to the location in a van. They opened the door, they aimed it at the targets, and they released Acoustic Kitty into the field. And the cat walked, straight into the road. The mission was over almost the second it began. Years of work, $20 million, 2 surgeries, and the cat's very first independent decision as a secret agent was to completely ignore the plan. Now, here's where it gets mysterious. For decades, the story ended like this. The cat stepped into the street and was instantly hit by a taxi. The end. The most expensive roadkill in the history of espionage. Dark, ironic, unforgettable. There's just one problem. It might not be true. Because in 2013, a former senior CIA officer named Robert Wallace, a man who actually ran the agency's technical office, said the taxi story is a myth. According to him, the equipment was quietly removed, the cat was stitched back up, and it went on to live, quote, a long and happy life. So take your pick. Either Acoustic Kitty ended in a tragic accident on day 1, or it ended with a cat getting an early retirement, its microphone removed, strolling off to spend the rest of its days as a completely normal, blissfully clueless house cat who has no idea it was once a $20 million weapon. Either way, the result was identical. In 1967, the CIA quietly shut the whole thing down. The official memo praised the team's hard work and dedication, while very politely admitting that, well, the whole idea just didn't work. And here's the part that really gets me. Acoustic Kitty was not a one-off. This was not the only time the CIA looked at an animal and thought, yes, that one. That one's a spy now. They also tried pigeons. And honestly, the pigeons came closer to working. The CIA strapped tiny cameras to the chests of pigeons and released them over enemy territory, hoping the birds would casually fly over secret military sites and photograph them. A bird with a camera. Aerial reconnaissance, powered by breadcrumbs. The problem? Pigeons cannot read a map. The birds had trouble flying over the exact locations the CIA actually needed. So you'd get a beautiful, top-secret, high-resolution photograph of a random field the pigeon personally found interesting. And some of those pigeon missions are still classified today, which means somewhere in a government vault there are national secrets known only to a bird. So let's recap the CIA's animal recruitment drive. The cat refused to work, the pigeon couldn't aim. So what's the lesson in all of this? The CIA had the money, the technology, the surgeons, the best engineers in the entire country. They could build almost anything they could imagine. They just kept forgetting one tiny detail. The animals never agreed to any of it. You can wire a cat for sound. You can teach a pigeon to carry a camera. But you cannot give either of them a reason to care about the Cold War. $20 million, years of work, 2 surgeries, and in the end, the cat still did exactly what it was always going to do. Whatever it wanted. Honestly, most relatable spy in history. And if you made it this far, you clearly like what we're doing here. So hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one.